Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Repeat Ron, and today we're going to be doing a bit of a different video. Today I'm going to be showing you how I create the cursed images that I make for thumbnails, as some people have called them, and how to kind of make these for yourself, whether you want to make thumbnails, you want to make funny art. This also works for animation, although I am not an animator whatsoever, so you're going to have to look elsewhere for tutorials for that. But I can show you how I make these thumbnails. And the first thing that I do is I actually go to Steam. And I use this program right here, which is Source Filmmaker. This is free for everybody who would like to use it. This is for animation, but I use it for thumbnails. And I'll be kind of showing you how I do this. I use several programs, but this is the first one. And yeah, we're just going to launch it. You can also get any sort of models or textures, maps, whatever you need in the workshop. The workshop for this is actually huge. Pretty much any game that runs on Source or any game that's popular will likely have some semblance of Source Filmmaker in it, if that makes sense. So even though something like Dead by Daylight isn't its own engine, you can still get the characters from that. And right now it's going to ask you for a learning session, and I'm just going to create one right now. Doesn't really matter what this is or where it's saved, just so long as you can find it. So now that we're here, we have no map loaded and everything. You can either right click on this and go down to load map, or you can go over here to file and load map, or you could press Control L and that'll allow you to load a map as well. For the map that we're going to be using, this is green screen. This is just a blank map, more or less. That is nothing but a green screen. So I'm going to open up this, and my particular version has some issues, so it's going to tell me like dynamic lighting is messed up or something. Don't worry about that. You can usually just get that away. I just want the map to open. You could instead use this on other maps. I've done that with some of the Dead by Daylight thumbnails, where you can actually load in a map that somebody has made. Sometimes it's very elaborate. Sometimes it's the entire actual map that you see. Other times it's just like a small snippet. The smaller it is, the easier it's going to be to load, and the faster it's going to be to load. Now my map is loaded, and as you can see, it's just a big old blank green screen. So what we're going to do now is we're going to grab a model. So we're going to click the plus over here, and we are going to say we need a new model. Now, wherever your models will be stored, I'm just going to click on the mods over here. This way I can find it a little bit easier. And my mods are still loading it. As you can see, there's a few thousand of them. Most of these just come naturally with this, and you have to kind of be careful when you're getting new models for any of these, because if they're under the same name or a very similar name, sometimes the models will be loaded over the top of it. So you might be missing textures on certain models. I maybe can show this. I have some Left 4 Dead stuff here, so you can kind of see that. Like my chainsaw is missing textures. If it's this checkered pattern, that means it's missing textures of some sort. So I'm going to pick a Killing Floor 2 character for this, just because that's usually what a lot of my videos are. Let's pick the Bloat, because he is very expressive. So I have the Bloat here, and I can load him in however I'd like, with either a wireframe, collision model, no ground around him, lock, any of these things. It doesn't really matter for me because I'm making thumbnails. This would be more important for like animations. You can also see what type of skins your person could wear. There's more to this because you could also add cosmetics and stuff. It's a little bit strange. Anyway, let's get the Bloat in here, and we are way too close to him. So I'm going to click on this little timeline here, and that's going to let me... What I do is I left click my mouse, and then I can move the camera around that I'm controlling with both the mouse and with my WASD keys. So I can move these around however I'd like. So we can try to get up close to the Bloat's face. We kind of want him in view, and this is our first camera. So if we wanted to put something like this, we could also click on our other camera and switch to work camera and move this around. You can see where your shot is. So when you switch back, it switches back to the first camera. But your work camera, this way you could potentially get in closer, you know, try to see exactly what everything is, or try to move objects around. I'm just going to stay on the camera 1 for right now, make this very simple. Now we can actually control how our Bloat looks and everything, how he moves, where we're going to take a picture of him, what we're going to do. If you hold down the control key, you can actually see a skeleton. If a model doesn't have a skeleton, you can load a skeleton onto it by right-clicking over here on its name, and then going to rig, and then I believe that this is attaching a rig, load rig script, and then you attach a rig to it if you would like that. Same with if you'd like different skin, you can do that. For this, we're just going to be mostly focusing on his face, and that's where most of my thumbnails kind of come from, is just focusing on something's face. So once we click on our Bloat over here, we can actually control all of the parts of his skeleton that are controllable. So if we come over here, we can see exactly what that means. We can control his eyes. So we can have his eyes look up, his eyes look down, whatever you'd like. We can make him look left or right. So let's set him there. We can kind of move his attention around based on where the camera is. So we'll put that there. We can also make him cross-eyed or move his eyes around however you'd like. Can cause him to blink. So we're just going to mess with all these values until we find something that we like. It may be easier if you don't have the skeleton frame here too. Although with some of this stuff in the skeleton, you can grab like his jaw, and then you're given the option of these 4 controls right here. This one really just shows you where the point is of his jaw, so you kind of know where it is. This one allows us to move it up, down, or I did that backwards, up, down, left, right. But as you can kind of tell, it's warping his skeleton. And you can do that for a thumbnail if you would like, to make him either seem more scary, more funny, more distorted, more cursed in a way. You can move his jaw around however you'd like. So if you like it looking, something like that, you could do it. Anything that you want to revert, Control Z is a good way to do it. This works in a lot of editing, like it does in Sony Vegas as well. So we can Control Z and revert back to where we were. So I'm going to keep his mouth open like this. We can also rotate this on an axis. So as you can see, we can move it all the way around however we'd like. And there's multiple accesses here, so we can really torque his jaw however we'd want. And then even more so if you'd like to go even in more depth. But I think right here looks fine, maybe. All right, there we go. And then this one is more, we can freely move it. So you can kind of move it like that, or you can grab this wheel and really spin it around. The only limit here is your imagination. You can make whatever you would like, and he's gradually getting more cursed as we do this, as you can kind of see. Oh yeah, there we go. Yeah, maybe not that. I kind of want the derpy face. There we go. All right, move the jaw over there a little bit. Move the mouth up a little bit. Back and forth a little bit. The models really aren't meant to look like this or move like this, but you can certainly get away with it if you mess with them enough. Same goes with like any of these other things. You could move his eyebrow around a little bit. You could grab his eyelid and tweak it a little bit. You can do a lot of things. You could even grab... Nope, his face is starting to move. Let's go to our work camera. Oh, it looks even more cursed from that angle. If we want to move his hand in the way or something, we could actually grab his arm, move his arm up, and then grab something like his shoulder, more or less. This is going to look really weird, but if we distort the camera angle, it's not going to look as strange. So if he's got his hand up here, we've got our work camera here, like this, and we switch back to this camera, his arm no longer looks all that strange because you can't see his shoulder. So hiding the camera can definitely help with a lot of these things if you would like to do this. Like I said, though, it's up to your imagination, whatever you'd like to do. Let's try to put his meat cleaver there and see what that looks like. That doesn't look that bad, I would say. We can actually move the meat cleaver around too, because that was control of his arm. We can grab control of his hand and also move this around. And again, this doesn't need to look perfect, because something like this, you're not going to see entirely. Alright, and then kind of distort the camera. Yeah, there we go. That looks pretty horrifying in its own way. Maybe I'll take the blood off, because I feel like otherwise this might get a somewhat of an age restriction or something, because it looks like he's cutting off his own hand. That's not what I intended to have it look like. But now we have our bloat here. He is set and ready to go. So once you have whatever model you would like, the way that you would like it, if you're going to use a green screen like this, it's best if you actually don't have any green. So I actually might want to get rid of this too, because this is going to mess with the green screen once we actually apply the Chroma Key to it, so that it cuts out pretty much all the green around him. You don't necessarily need it to be green, just a solid color that is different than the base color, and you don't want to have as many colors that are close to that color as possible. So if you're using green, you don't want things to be very light blue. Most shades of green you don't want to be unless it's a real big contrast. Something that's incredibly like neon like this, and then something that's very dark can work. But you don't want it to be like very close in hue. If you have that, then you run into issues. Anyway, then we're going to save our bloat here. So we're going to go to File. First off, we're going to save him so that he just saves here in our program. If we want to use him again, we can, and he'll be in this pose once we get back in here. We could also load up another bloat model or any sort of model that you would like. And then we're going to go down to Export, and we're going to export this as a poster. Not as an image, but as a poster. And then you're going to save wherever you want this to be saved. For me, I save it to my downloads. That way it's just easier for me to find. You can save it through Steam apps and then export this in whatever image size you would like. I'm using 1920 by 1080, so 1080p. Oh, wait, whoops. I got the cameras mixed up. That's going to be an issue. Because we're over here. Alright, that's something good to notice. Make sure that you're... Okay, yeah, we're about where we were before. Make sure that you're actually on camera 1, or whatever camera you want this to be, not on the work camera. Otherwise, that can kind of mess it up. Alright, save that. Export Goofy Boy. Once this gets done, then we'll move on to more editing in another program. So now that that's done, we're going to exit out of Source Filmmaker, and I'm going to go into Sony Vegas. You can do this next process in any sort of photo manipulation program, at least anyone that has Chroma Key, as well as if they have a magic wand tool, you can usually do it. So I'm going to open up my file here in Sony Vegas. To do that, I just went to the folder, clicked open, went to my downloads, found it, or you can do this wherever you saved, and then we have our picture here. Now next I'm going to go to the Video Effects tab, which then I go down to Chroma Key here, and I click on Pure Green Screen, and I drag that into him. Now you can see that it's all black behind. Now you can do this with a mask. You can see what's being affected the most, and we're going to make it so that it's all visually white like this. That way we actually have a neutral background. We're going to raise up the lower threshold a little bit. We don't need any blur with this. You could add a slight blur if you would like. Maybe just something like that, and that'll just blur the edges very, very little. Then once we... forgot to take the mask off. Alright, then once we have our bloat here, then we can save him, and we'll save him to a snapshot. We'll save him as just that image, sure. Okay, now he's saved. Gonna exit out of here. I'm not saving right there, but maybe you would like to if you'd like to keep him there. And then we're gonna open up my photo editing program, which I'm using Karl Paint Shop Pro 2019. You can use this with any real free add-on. Like, you can find plenty of photo editing things online for free. You can use GIMP, which is free. If you have Photoshop, you can use that, of course. Anyway, over here in my editing tab, I'm going to open him up, which is in my downloads. We're going to open him. And as you can see, here he is in all of his glory. Now, there's a little bit of a black line around him. That's because we had the black background and we move the threshold a little bit. That won't matter so much, because what I'm going to do is open up another tab, which is just going to be blank, and I'm going to put a background. Now, usually for my Killing Floor videos, I put a black background, but you could do this with any color if you'd like. You could do it red, you could do it purple, you can do it whatever. It actually doesn't even need to be these colors. You could open up another file, and then let's just open up something like this, which is from Deep Rock, because why not? And, you know, we're going to move this over here. We're going to make sure it's at the angle that we want it, whatever this picture is. So we'll have something like that be the background for this particular image. We're going to take our bloat. We're going to copy paste him over. Whoops, not over that one. Over here. And you can kind of see where we have him. Now we can manipulate him, move him around and everything. And you can kind of tell his skin tone is off. It always is whenever I do this, because it chroma keys and it wants to make it as apparent as possible that they're different structures, more or less. So then you can actually go in and change these in here. At least that's what I do. So I will give him a little bit more of a curve. Let's see. Let's go with a contrast and make this a little bit more apparent. So now he's a little bit darker. Give him a little bit more vibrance, maybe. Yeah, give him a little bit more color. And then, you know, if you want another color over the top of this, you can. And we can always adjust this however you'd like. So you could darken it for the background. You could add different hues, different shades, whatever it might be, colors, stuff like that. Usually for me, I just keep it black, and that's what I'm going to do for this. But the point is, you can do whatever you'd like. However creative you are, you can do that. So we're going to do this, and then since this would be a Killing Floor video thumbnail, I usually like to put the title of the game on there, which I have a folder just full of titles of games. So I'm going to find that and then put this on here. So once I have this, I can just move it somewhere. I can resize it, put it behind him or something. Or, you know, make it a bit smaller. I think I'll keep it smaller for this because I kind of like that look better. It's now blown out of proportion then. And then people can still read this. They can see what it is. Of course, we can move something like this into the background. And we can really mess around with this however we'd like. So if we just want a very minimal tone to it, we could do something like that where there's a little bit more light behind him, but it's not all that distracting. You could, instead of doing this, go with, you know, something more crazy. If you wanted to do something like this and then add maybe a ink splatter or something to him, you can always do stuff like this. Oh, whoop. And then, you know, kind of manipulate this around however you'd like. So this is how I make a lot of these cursed images, these cursed thumbnails that people have asked. Hopefully this helped you guys out, whether you just want to do this for fun or if you're planning on making these into your own thumbnails and stuff like that. Feel free to. It can be super fun to do this. Thanks everybody for watching and suggesting this. If you would like to see other behind the scenes feature type things or tutorials, feel free to ask me. I can show you different things that I do to edit thumbnails, edit videos, set up channel stuff, things like that. If you're more interested in that, maybe we'll do this every once in a while on different projects that I'm working on and stuff. If you're new here and you enjoyed this video, be sure that you get subscribed. That way you get notifications whenever I post anything like this. Special thanks to all the supporters of the channel. I really do appreciate that, all you guys. These are all my members over here on YouTube and my patrons over on Patreon. If you would like to support the channel, you can do that by following the links down in the description to either become a member or to become a patron. Either way, you get early access to videos like this. And if you'd like to see my other, I guess, video related stuff, click over here. I'm not sure what the heck is going to pop up for this one. Be sure to click on that. That'll take you to some playlist full of videos. And I'll catch you guys next time. Bye.